Hey guys, we're going live. Um, just welcoming you to the show. Haven't done a live in about a month or so, so I thought it would be fun to kind of hop on a Friday, late Friday. Hopefully, you've got a beer in your hand right now. It's about 12 o'clock here in Maui, and we're not quite at the beer hour just yet. We're waiting for some big shipments or calls for some big projects coming into the shop today. So might get a little hectic if that all happens right when we're doing a live, but makes for interesting podcasting. I think AVP will be joining us here in a minute or two. Paul was originally on, oh, I don't know. I have to look back at the episode, but it was just a workflow equals cash flow. I remember the name of the title. And it's probably, if you haven't listened to that show or watched that show, it's probably been one of the most important shows to watch. Paul has a lot of experience with billing people, dealing with customer relations, uh, and through all of those ups and downs of that, he's created incredible billing systems to make sure that he maximizes all of his potential and productivity. So I can't wait for him to come on again. Of course, things are always up and down in the powder coating industry. We certainly know all about that, and I'm sure you do too as well. So just want to kind of promo and introduce him before he gets on. He just gave me like a 10-minute. He's running a little late, probably just kind of finishing things up at work. And I think it's around 4 o'clock his time. I'm not sure. He's in Arizona. So if you're on social media, head on over to All Valley Powder Coating, AVP. I think he's on Instagram. I know he's on Instagram. Duh. It's AVP Coating on Instagram, and then All Valley Powder Coating on Facebook. So go ahead and give him a shout and a like and a subscribe. And hopefully we'll have some other people joining us today. I'm going to put the link in the description of, like, can I do that? I'm going to try to get a link for the show so that anybody can hop on and join us. I think this is it right here. So I'm going to copy this. So if you want to come on and come on the show, say something, say hi, just go ahead and click that link and then follow the steps to click the link, and then I'll let you in. We can have up to, I think, 6 on the show. I'm not sure. I might have to make some changes there, but yeah, I can probably put in about 6 people if there's that many. Hope you guys are having an awesome Friday and had a very productive and profitable week. Earlier today and soon to be published is a podcast that I have just recorded with Gima. I'm really super stoked and excited that they came on the show. It's taken 3 years to get somebody as big and industrial as they are. So I was like really stoked and excited to know that they were interested in coming on the show and joining in the conversation about custom coating. And I learned a lot from those guys, and I can't wait for you guys too. I'm going to do some editing to the podcast and probably publish it in the next week or two. So please stay tuned for that. I have also have to do some editing that I did with the productivity software called Steelhead. Jeff Hanlon, he was an excellent guest. We talked a lot about industry issues and problems, and some of which he's trying to solve for us. And I really was impressed with him and his deep knowledge of I guess, he just has a really deep knowledge of production and pricing, and then capturing your profit margin and the steps, the processes that go into that feedback loop of how you learn, adapt, and then produce more profitable jobs. And I wish I was in a position right now to test out and try out his software. It seems really interesting. If you're at a point where um, you've got a lot of employees and they're all over the place, and you think you're losing productivity or profitability when you start to scale with employees, that's definitely a problem you need to solve. And I'd almost encourage anybody to start earlier rather than later, because you have to input all this data, and you might as well do it while you're not as big, because some of these big companies that have these major productions and projects and um, chains that they have to go through, and people, and then before they turn it over to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy, it's like it can get really hard to get everybody on board, to get everybody to do the steps that they need to do to enter the data to get it to that point. So it's always better to adapt to and grow with technology and productivity. And I'm happy that he's actually focused on manufacturing, specifically powder coating, because I think it's definitely something that's been lacking in our industry for a long time. So again, that one should be coming out at about the same time, and super, super stoked and excited that he was able to come on the show. Hold on, my order lady, I order from Safeway online, and she's telling me, which half and half do you want? Okay, that's fine. Just telling her I'm doing a podcast. I can't take the time to tell you I need this half and half or that one. So, all right. So, and anxiously anticipating Paul to come on. If any of you guys also want to come on, just let me know. Probably should check my Powder Coater podcast stream, make sure we're all good there. Haven't seen it yet. Am I streaming? I do see some people on there, so I know I am. Oh, yeah, there I am. Okay, so we're good. We're definitely good there. Glad it's going live. There's also probably just want to show you really quick that some newsworthy Maui Powderworks news. Let's see. We weren't particularly written up about this project, but we did have a huge hand in it. And pretty much everything you see here in this picture is powder coated by Maui Powderworks. It was an honor to work for this company. Actually, Louis Vuitton is, obviously a very big name here in Maui. This was a complete, I think, gut and remodel of a building. And so it was a kind of a big deal, because at the time it started, there really wasn't a lot of construction going on in Maui, or like big project kind of construction, commercial construction going on. So it was, I think a lot of people were happy that they were working on that job. It took a long time, much probably longer than we thought to do the job, but it actually came out beautiful. And I was going to actually go there to go look at it, take pictures, but it turned up in the newspaper anyways. So I guess this lady, Diana Witt, she's the general manager of the property where this is down in Wailea. And it says Louis Vuitton store is one of the most beautiful works yet. It embodies a design that is inspired by elements of Hawaiian motifs and culture, but still looks like Louis Vuitton. So we did all this. I think the store is pretty huge. I don't know. It just seemed like it kept going and going and going. So there's lots of little parts here that came in, and all of it was powder coated by us. So happy. I don't think we powder coated the logo, though. That must have come from the mainland. I don't remember powder coating that, but all this trim out for the windows and doors was all done, and the doors themselves, I think we ended up doing. So that was good. How we're going to capitalize on this is we're going to copy these photos. We're going to link this in a Facebook page, this article, and I'm just going to kind of put my little spin on it and say, we did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. And then, of course, get blessed by Maui Powder Works because they're going through a blessing. And then it just posted up on Facebook. And, that's how I promote our local projects that we do. You don't have to kind of go too crazy or out of the box with thinking of something crazy and wild that's never been done before. You just want to kind of be okay with sharing and tooting your own horn, especially if you're very proud of a public project like this. Your name's going on it, whether you're listed in the article or not. You had a hand in it. You were subcontracted by it. And I think that it's always noteworthy and newsworthy to put it in your feed or put it on your Instagram or, put it in your blog or whatever you've got. So I just wanted to share that news and how we would use this article in the local newspaper to to promote what we've done and how we do it here at Maui Powder Works.
All right, I'm here finally.
Yay! Hello, Paul. How's it going?
Pretty good. I forgot today was payday, and apparently employees want to be paid.
Oh yeah, that tends to happen on a Friday. Are you going to show your face?
I'm trying.
Okay.
Hold on.
I hear you perfectly though.
Okay.
I was just saying we didn't get written up, but a public space, Louis Vuitton fancy smancy store got written up in the newspaper, a grand opening, and pretty much we did the whole front facing there powder coated. It's all pretty,
Nice.
it's beautiful. Like, we just see parts when they come into the store, right, or shop, and we don't really see some of the other we don't really see what the end thing is all the time.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah, for sure.
when Ross came in yesterday and showed me on his phone, that they actually wrote it up and talked about it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's more beautiful than I thought it was going to be. Like, you just see squares and linear, but you don't see the whole finished project. And it's so gorgeous to see that finished product.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty cool. Do you charge by linear foot?
No, we just did by the batch.
Okay. There you go.
On the other hand, I did, so like one of the things I realized this morning was I need to get some my house has like cockroaches, so it's time to spray around the house, and I usually have this company called Bowman Termite come to my house, and last year I got it done. The house isn't very big. It's like 1,200 square feet. It's not that big. Including the garage, right? So I called them up. Now, last year I paid $156 to have them spray my house and garage, just the inside, not the outside, just the inside. And now I called this morning to make an appointment with the same company I've been using for years, and their pricing has doubled. Like, it's $300. And
it
I'm
makes
like,
sense. That's the whole world right now.
I know. I know. And, my thought was, well, this is what happens when billionaires move to Maui.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm kind of guilty with that. I mean, we are charging the most that we've ever charged. But now I'm like, well, if Bowman can double their prices, maybe I should maybe I should have a look at my pricing again. But I think we're good where we're at. But it never hurts to look again, right? But sometimes when you have lots of money flowing into your county or your state or your city, prices tend to go up just because, people spend money, and I don't know. Like you just it's some I almost felt like a whole double, like what's gone on, like and I asked the guy, I'm like on the phone, I'm like, "Are you sure that's your price?"
Yeah,
He's kind of got mad. You could tell he's like, got mad at me or something, but I'm like, "Are you sure that's the price?" And he's like, "Yeah, whatever." I'm like, "Okay,
yeah.
I'm
I'm
gonna
dealing.
go look somewhere else."
There was 3 powder coat shops that were pretty big that went out of business here in January.
What?
So I'm dealing with those customers saying that I'm too expensive. Well, I'm in business. They're not. There's probably a
Right?
reason.
Wow.
So,
Can you name names? Who was that?
Glendale powder coat.
Okay.
He sold to a customer, from what I heard. Arc powder coating sold, either sold or went out of business. And then there's another one on the east side I wasn't too familiar with, but the customers keep showing up.
Wow. Well, I guess that's good for business, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, and we got that semiconductor plant here too, so we get a lot of work from that.
Right.
It's the
Right.
biggest ongoing project in the US right now.
Oh, right. Okay. And because they're the new semiconductors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Taiwanese semiconductor company.
Right. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, you guys have some interesting businesses over there.
Yeah, yeah, it's good.
I'd heard of Glendale before. So they just basically are taking it. They basically their customer bought them out and they're just gonna be
Yeah,
doing in-house
I think
powder
they're
coating.
supporting them for a little bit, and then he's on to some new venture.
Wow. Interesting. Okay. Well, there's a lot of growth, I mean, to be happening still in Arizona and which
Yep.
is where you're out of. And Ross and I have been kind of peeking over at Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I can't believe how much it's grown there.
Just move
I
to
think,
Phoenix. There's plenty of work here.
yeah,
You could do all the gates I turned down.
I know, right? I might tell Ross.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really care at this moment, like where we end up kind of expanding, but one thing's for sure, we definitely need to kind of make it happen on the mainland for us. Still
Yeah.
want to keep Maui Powder Works going, of course.
Yeah.
There's no problem there as long as there's a willing client and stuff. I hope to kind of keep growing the team
Yeah.
over here and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's going well, but I know it hasn't always you were in a kind of I guess a rough patch not too long
Yeah.
ago with equipment, right? And electricity and
Yep.
something. Tell me all about that.
Never ends. Well, that and just expenses in general kind of peeled away from us. Like media, we're one of the few that actually use aluminum oxide.
Hmm.
That's like $92 a bag now. It used to be 46.
Whoa. Yeah.
So what I started doing with everything is who is it made by or distributed by, and I contact them directly. So come to find out, I think the media is K Deer. They haven't raised their prices and don't plan to since 2015. So direct from the manufacturer, I could still get it for $46 a bag. And they're in
Wow.
California, it's like $150 for freight. So it's still,
That's not
you
too
know,
bad for
you order
freight.
half a pallet, it's
Right.
huge savings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
same thing with
know.
gloves. Like the Raven gloves were like 30 something dollars a box. We went to SAS, who they're distributed by, and got it back down to $12 a box.
It seems like it's all over the place sometimes, right? You're wondering
So
how can it be so off pricing? Like how can
yeah,
you go from $156 of like taking 15 minutes? I'm not kidding you, like 15, 20 minutes to do a two-bedroom house. Leave me
yeah,
some bait traps at to like $300. Like I don't know what's
yeah.
changed.
Well, I did an internal audit this month, and we're pretty good like on all our production jobs. Like time wise, shop rate is now 300 an hour, not 200. Um, so everything we do on a regular basis, we're still making good money on. It's the random thermostat housing or intake manifold that we haven't done a ton of, where we were losing a lot of money.
So you're just
So
talking
that was a
about
big
like
eye opener.
restoration. You're talking about the one-off restoration kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
like in my head, I was still, because also me personally, I haven't priced things out in a couple of years because I had someone in this position.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a big eye opener, like just timing certain jobs. I'm like, oh, that wasn't a $25 part, that was 55.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, there is it's funny because I just interviewed Gima. I made a mention of it earlier in the
Yeah,
show when I first started, was that, you know, they, the price disparity with guns and entry level guns and then their level of gun and
yeah,
stuff. And I thought that they were being very authentic. I certainly got to know more about the Gima brand by talking to them.
hmm,
And I can see why people, it is like the number one gun in terms of market share and people using them. They are definitely broad based. Of course, it's like the dilemma is always like, well, how do you know you like Gima? How do you know you don't like this other brand until you try it, right?
yeah,
And that's been always like the thing. Everybody's always Gima because they maybe not have only tried Gima, right?
yeah,
Or they've only heard bad things about some other brand, and so they went this way. It's hard. I think that it's very smart of them that they have such a large presence, but they could probably capitalize on the fact that people are only going to have one chance to try a gun, and they're probably
yeah.
going to like ours, right? So,
I've,
um, you know,
I've tried all of them except Sames.
well, you are a rare bird then, because most guys don't. They
Yeah,
just hear it from their friend, or they hear it from, or it's what they used before they got into their own business, and then
yeah,
you don't have a choice, right? So,
yeah.
um, you
Yeah, I
know,
still have Nordson's, the main gun. We went back to the Wagner. The newest one was the MS Top Coat. Um, it was a great gun. Their product support was just terrible. We couldn't deal with it anymore.
yeah,
So like the trigger
uh,
broke, and then it was under warranty. But since I had kind of messed with it because we have a business to operate, like I got it working again. But I'm like, hey, this is a problem. So it was 2 grand for a new gun, and then with the new gun, different trigger, different hanging hook, and something else. Like they fixed everything that was definitely broken on the first one, anyways. So it's
yeah,
like, why couldn't you just warranty that? And then just getting parts. I had to call the distributor. The distributor called MS Topcoat directly, and then got a price, and then it was just a
yeah.
mess.
Meanwhile, lots of stuff needs powder coating, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And that was kind of what we talked about too on the show. I can't wait to publish it. Um, it was about the product
yeah,
support and all of that. Sometimes it's easy and sometimes it's not. I mean, there are going to be people that can't seem to find tips locally, and they have
yeah.
to, it just becomes this really humbug thing. But anyways, okay, so we got Ashton. Why don't you just join the show? Can you click on the link in StreamYard and just join? Um, but Ashton just said, I've used everything besides a Parker Ionics and Sames.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh yeah,
always choose
Parker Ionics.
Wagner. Yeah, I know. Him and Russ do the Wagner thing. But Gima has its purpose, in my opinion. Yes, I think it does. Oh, we lost Paul. He'll come back in a second here. Hey, Paul, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, that back button just gets you right off of there.
um, so you also I kind of invited Justin Marshall. I'm not sure if Justin, I probably should reach out to him and say, hey, we're live if you want to join, um, and stuff. But just, I always like Fridays to be kind of a free for all catch up kind of thing. At least that's what my intention is to
Yeah,
kind of go there. I probably should have gotten the word out a little bit more. People are probably getting off work and stuff. And I just kind of said, hey, if you see us live, just say hi
yeah.
later on and stuff. So,
What's
Um,
this new pricing tool that you stumbled
oh
across?
yeah. Um, okay, hold on. I'm just texting. Come on. Probably I need to get better about letting everybody on the show. About the show. Okay, so I have this queued up. Let me. I'm gonna share a new. I need to share my screen. Stop sharing, and then I'm gonna do share screen. I'm gonna take a sound bite from this. So here's the article. It's in product finishing. It just actually came out. Of course, they just interviewed me, so I'm like, uh, this is just them printing it. Saying what she's saying.
Yeah,
Um, but I queued it up to where it's like what her, what's going on with pricing, as we all know, right? It can kind of change. So let me. Can you see the screen?
yeah.
Okay. So I'm gonna just play it. So she's got a new company called Hey Scotty. I kind of liked her actually. She's really quirky and very eccentric like me, super futuristic and with a dash, with a lot of tech background, and but then again, like all over the place, like I am. So I
Yeah.
can appreciate her, as a person. But I really do see what her thinking is later on. You got to listen to the interview. It's really good. But this is what she says about uh, what problem she's trying to solve.
Let me give you an example. If you take a look at minimum lot prices for powder coating, a standard black glossy color across the United States, the minimum lot prices range from $1 to $875. If you are forced to only go to your local finisher, you have obviously a limited number of people who you can get services from. If, however, you come to Hey Scotty, I am giving you access to services, finishing services from across the United States. In the United States, finishing services are costing very, very different across the different states because some states have different regulations than others. In general, for example, the West Coast is more expensive than the East Coast or the Midwest. There are certain environmental laws that are going into effect in different states in different times. And therefore, that makes some finishing services a lot more expensive. If you come to Hey Scotty, I will give you the finishing service you need with a supplier that is as close to you as possible, but still giving you the quality and exactly the service that you want.
So you've talked a little bit about how manufacturers use the tool, how they provide you with the CAD, and you go from there. The question for PF's audience is how do finishing operations participate in it? If they aren't already involved, what do they need to do to get involved?
Please come and talk to me and sign up to be a partner. I have partners across the United States, and these are really good, very high quality finishing shops that are interested in expanding their customer base outside their 3-block radius. So if you're interested in having your services be sold across the United States, come talk to me. Go to the website.
There you go.
Interesting.
Uh-huh. I mean, there's more to the interview and stuff, but kind of gives you food for thought on like where the industry is going and how AI in and automation, or sort of automating the back end of our industry. I mean, we've got like there are manual processes out there that will never be replaced, right? It always
Yeah.
be some level of, but to bring that automation to sort of more of the back end of it with when it comes to cost estimating and stuff, uh could be I could see where that is really going to help accelerate business. It'd be interesting to see how it actually works. She does it for, if you go to her website, it actually works for um, anodizing, electroplating, and powder coating, and something else. I don't know. Um, so kind of a brilliant thing. I I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah.
The only thing that kind of worries me about those kind of things is like, how do you know they actually have that many customers looking?
Right. That's like
I mean,
the car one that flies around on Instagram all the time.
it's just kind of strange. Like people like us that are in the industry, and like even for somebody like me, I'm a little fish in a gigantic ocean
Yeah.
when it comes from like just the quality, the size, and what I'm working with and what I'm pumping out compared to like, I mean, even him for you know for sake, it's like it's insane the differences when it comes from production to custom to even coding applicators that you've never heard of that are doing, you know, high dollar, huge government jobs that are top secret. Like
Yeah.
Well,
it's
I'd
all over
say
the place. So
it's either gonna, yeah, go
it's
ahead.
weird.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna it could either drive business away from custom coders, or it could actually, if you're looking to get bigger fast, you maybe by being a partner, I mean, let's face it, she just launched it. I don't know how much people she knows in the industry. I don't know how she's going to get these customers. There's a lot of unknowns there. Earlier, when she kind of talks about her background, you can kind of see she knows, she's been around, right? Like she had a startup and struggled with getting, uh, you know, money or investment money from people in, because her product was manufacturing based, and they're just not, that's not exciting to them. That's not, they want apps that connect people on social media or do this or that. They don't, investors don't want that seed money. They don't want to invest in manufacturing. Let's hope that changes. I have been there. I have an app and I did struggle with that as well, and I'm not promoting that app right now. It was for the vacation rental industry, and it was too hard. It's a big industry to even have a voice in to begin with. So I get it. I got her side of the story for sure. Maybe I can get her on the show and talk about it some more. But um,
Seems like
uh,
a lot of corporate stuff to me.
well,
And
she
this
says if you upload the CAD drawing to the part, so that's why I was gonna like, maybe we should just try it out, right? Just kind of see if she responds. But supposedly you upload the app, the CAD drawing, and then she'll turn around a bid in 24 hours. And then what? What kind of cut is she getting out of that? She's getting something.
it's
Yeah.
weird. We already have, I think, you know, us coders that are either owner operator or you're into that next level of things where you have employees that are doing everything. I think I mean, we're already trying to focus on so much as it is. Like whether
Yeah.
you're running the shop and you're making sure there's supplies, you're making sure your employees are taken care of. Or on the other end, if you're an owner operator, like you have to do everything all the way down to your taxes, from ordering everything, making sure everything's in stock, yada yada. It's this, you know, like how much more can we add to our plate as like this? I mean, powder coating can be very professional, and there is instances where it is and it isn't, obviously. But like, I don't think this industry is going to change away from how blue collar it really is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like those. It's so compartmentalized, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Paul, on what you were going through some tough time, can you tell us more about the problems you were having? We kind of got that, and then we kind of switched subjects, but
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, there's problems every day.
yeah.
Fuck.
Take a
That's my
number.
real job. Fix the problems.
Well, you should just ask him how many hours did he sleep last night.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, I sleep good.
I
That's
didn't
never an
sleep
issue.
very much. It's getting hot now. It's at night. It's like, I don't know,
I
not sleeping.
wish.
Starting to get hotter.
No, yeah, I bought a super awesome Davenport oven.
Oh,
A
Nice.
12 footer. It was made incorrectly. He didn't want to do anything to rectify the situation. Drawed more power than he told me, so I had to disconnect 2 of the burners. But
Is
makes
it gas
money.
or is
That's
it
all that
electric?
matters. Electric.
Nice.
oh my God. My property manager is standing outside, probably complaining about the freaking wood we have out in front of our shop.
How much has rent went up this year?
Oh, don't get me started, brother.
my cam went up 2 cents, and we're already
Yeah.
paying some of the top cam rates in the state. How's that sound?
Yeah.
Dude, I went from
I have
52
40
cents.
taxes.
I went from $8.90 a month to $12.50 a month.
Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was at 4,200 a month. Now we're at 4,900, and I haven't even hit my year where it's supposed to go up like a normal
Yeah.
1% or whatever.
CPI, yeah.
Yeah, so they added a cam tax, property tax, sales tax, and rent tax. Before it was just base rent, rent tax, and some sort of cam fee that was never really a thing.
Well, you
The
had me
wild-
going with Arizona, but I'm changing my mind now.
Yeah,
The crazy thing for me is it's like I just got my all my information back on my taxes last night. And it's like I made, okay, give or take $10,000 more than I did last year. And I gotta pay out like $7,500 something dollars. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how the fuck does this work? Like I barely took home enough to feed my family, and you're gonna want to
It's
hit
called
me with
tax
another?
rates.
Yeah.
Fuck. Uncle Sam
You-
can get fucked, bro.
You need a tax attorney. Don't use a CPA. You can get a tax attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna start. Like this year, I've gone through a lot of changes in the last 2 months, and I mean, there's benefits to it. There's negatives to it. I won't get into the nitty gritty of things, but it's like a lot more is on my plate now that I have to deal with, and I have to, there's a lot of things that I have to learn instead of just being the coder now.
Oh, look
So-
at that. Ross has to move the fucking wood now. He's in the Anyways, it's a nightmare job that we're supposed to be getting back today. Oh my God. Okay, I got to tell you about this job. So we get this call from another island, some luxury home developer. They ordered these balcony, these lanai windows, open, fully retractable windows from Bali. And the tracks that they came with look like powder coated aluminum. It looks like aluminum. But you knew it had a coating on there, but we didn't know how they built it. And so they figured out that they took a steel track base, then they put an aluminum track on top of it. So it's just a 1/4-inch steel with like bent up edges to hold the track in place. And then they took aluminum track and just basically put a tiny little screw into the steel to hold it there. And the whole thing is painted. Everything is painted. And it's painted so well, it looks like powder coat. So we're starting to go kind of so they put all these things, it's the wrong color. They wanted us to powder coat it a black color so it looks seamless. So we're like, no problem, just ship it out here. We thought we were just going to be easy peasy, just powder coat over the existing. Oh no, don't deal with a second world country because they fake everything.
Yeah.
It's all painted, and on top of it, it's steel on top of aluminum. How's that going to work?
So what,
Everything's
like
going to corrode
15 mils thick?
Right? It was pretty thick. So
So
Ross stripped a little part. They painted the base, and then they painted the track, and then they attached the track, and then they filled the holes of the screws that the track sits on. They filled it with like Bondo or whatever. I don't even know. Filler. And then they painted it over again. So it looks like it's welded, but it's not welded. It's just screws. And
Like
the thing is,
epoxy.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
stacks
really,
and dimes
really.
with some glue.
How much do you guys Cerakote?
0. I avoid
I
that
don't.
shit like the plague, bro.
So this is a new thing that's been happening. Let's see if I don't know if you can see it like smoking. The light's
coating's
pretty bright.
smoking.
The part is smoking?
The part is like, it's
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Yeah.
I see it.
But that's just from the paint drying.
It hasn't been in the oven.
Nope. He sprayed that probably 2 hours ago, and it's still smoking.
Jesus.
It's just
Is that a fire hazard?
right?
There's just like, I mean, I give it to the Cerakote dudes, and I would love to offer it someday because I almost get more calls for that
Yeah, I
than
know.
powder coating, and it's like somewhere, somehow, Cerakote has got this magic voodoo of marketing, so everybody
Dude, they
wants
got
it.
really good marketing, but their products
But
suck.
yeah, so like what I'm getting to is it's like I grew up, you know, I've told my story a million times. Like I grew up with a brother that's a pretty well-known airbrusher, pinstriper, custom car painter. So I've grown up around solvents my whole life. And then you kind of bring this Cerakote stuff and, you know, becomes more relevant as, you know, the years go on. But it's like as I've tried it or I've seen my other friends try it that offer it for a lot of dirt bike stuff, it's like, dude, the margin of error, the window of error that you have with Cerakote over powder coating is like fucking asinine to me, especially for the amount that we're paying for the product to apply
Yeah.
it for the customer. Like I can barely get people to pay me $85 an hour for, you know, my shop rate, let alone if I had to calculate a shop rate for Cerakote, people would laugh around here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Here's
I
another
think
Cerakote issue. Speaking of problems.
oops, sorry. I'm doing something weird. Here we go. Might have another person join in. I think Rich, come on. Rich King is gonna come on too. I think he's trying to join.
You guys see this at all?
Okay, wait, let me change the perspective here so we can see it. Wait.
Dangle plaques.
I
Oh,
can't
like
get it right.
it ran all weird on you.
Oh, whoa.
It's like too heavy or some shit.
No, they changed their formula again.
Yeah, it's changed. Like I used to watch my old boss that I originally learned from years and years ago. We used to do a bunch of, you know, headers and shit all the time, black or that stupid chrome shit that they offered.
Yeah.
And it was halfway decent back then. Like I could spray a couple, you know, a few sets here and there and have really good results staying with the boss, and it was whatever. But we just kind of avoided it. And then as time went on, you know, you're like, okay, I gotta fucking go back to this again.
Yeah.
Formula changes, and it's just like you're stuck in this. It's almost like you're stuck in your rookie days of like being an applicator, and
start
you're
all
just
over again.
you're like constantly questioning yourself as if we don't question ourselves enough.
Yeah.
And you're like, then you just become so defeated or like demoralizing because you're like, how, like, why is this changing? And I think a lot of what we're seeing, like just with gloss blacks and the powder side of the industry, is it's like everybody's out, you know, advertising this super lustrous mirror like gloss black.
Yeah.
And there's a handful of people that can get it. I mean, I can get it, you know, on the shake of a dice every other day. But then it's like yesterday I tried doing a brow for my buddy's dump truck. And it's stainless, you know, I degrease the ever living shit out of it. I blast it, I de-ate it. I spent like overtime on making sure it looked perfect for my buddy. I throw it in, spray it, I pull it out, and it's like dirt nib city. Like I just didn't even fucking care. And you're like, where does this go? You know what I mean? Like, how does this happen? And I think a lot of those, just with the gloss black, I think a lot of like the cure times, like I don't think people are taking into consideration that the cure times we're going off of are probably based off a paint chip in a lab, you know, and like it's weird. I don't know.
Okay, I gotta send the link here to copy it. Copy. Here, I'm just gonna send this to Rich. Hopefully he can join. I got a question for you. Has anybody, okay, so we're gonna be doing a bike frame or you know, just the whole Harley thing, whatever, all the parts. And they want illusion. No, wait, what's it called? The green. What's that green called?
There's like 16 of them.
I know. Stop. Okay, wait.
And they're all the same color.
Yeah.
No, it's that
Illusion
one with
Money,
that's the
Illusion
yellow
Sour
one.
Apple,
No,
Illusion
it's
Shocker.
the prismatic one, the
Shocker.
Shocker yellow. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Well, Shocker Yellow is the clear base, and then Illusion Shocker
Illusion
is the.
Shocker, yeah.
Yes,
I
but
prefer using the clear version.
He's having the gas tank is going to be painted, and I guess his painter's having a hard time matching the Shocker Yellow. Any tips for the paint guy that's trying to match the Shocker Yellow?
He needs a candy.
He's got
transparent yellow.
He's good. Yeah, he's gonna have to do like some sort of like some chrome base, because if you've ever flashed Illusion Shocker, it comes out straight up looking like super chrome with a green tint to it.
Yeah.
So it's,
hey, Rich.
Hey,
I think that realm of powder coating, we have the upper hand when it comes to custom coatings. Is like,
Yeah,
we can get that weird fake looking chrome effect that, I mean, liquid guys can too, but I think the process is much more of a, a mountain to climb than
well,
what
I
we
was
have
like
to.
kind of laughing because I'm like, that's usually our problem, is the problem that the painters
Yeah,
have. It's like,
yeah.
it's nice to have the painter have that problem and we don't have to worry, because thankfully we had him pick the color first.
Yeah.
Let him figure it out, but he's getting close. I guess he'll figure it out. Ross did tell him we use a silver base, so we'll see. So everybody, welcome Rich King to the show.
hey,
So,
thanks.
Yo.
Oh, Paul Peters, you said Polaris paint. Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. I'm going to try to adjust this layout. I can do different layouts, but it's almost kind of complicated things now. So let's see if I can do 4. Here we go. That looks better. I'm going to switch it out here. Save. Nope, it still turned out the same. Wait, no, here we go. There we go. That looks better.
Stacked like boxes.
Yeah. So just for anybody just joining in, who's who, we got Rich King. Rich, where are you at? I always forget where you're based.
Lapeer, Michigan.
Michigan.
Lafayette,
Oh,
Michigan.
I'm always thinking it's like somewhere else. I didn't never think. And then we've got Ashton Palmer and from Palmer's Powders, and he's in Idaho. And then we've got Paul Foster from AVP Coatings, and he's in Phoenix, Arizona, right? Phoenix.
Yep.
Okay.
North Phoenix.
And I should have had another cup of coffee from this morning. I interviewed Gima, and I kind of could have been a little bit more like in my headspace, but I had so much to talk about. It kind of went all over the place. So, but I think it was still good. So I just finished my Mexican Coca-Cola.
Those hit different.
Yeah, they do.
Well, I have to say that I'm not familiar with Paul, but I surely know Ashton, and work speaks incredible volumes.
Oh man, thanks. That's cool.
Young gun, man. He kills it every day. I mean, as an old man,
I try to. Hey man, that's one thing about social media though, is we all just show the good shit.
Oh, of course. Agreed.
You know what I mean? Like people, I showed a little bit of the bad shit this last week because I've been a little grouchy, but I think that just comes with the nature of the beast we all try to tackle every day.
I used to have FUBAR Fridays, and I would post up all the
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Mess ups. Yeah.
I
That's
love that.
Awesome.
Maybe we should do FUBAR Fridays here.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
And I've actually had customers like tell me like the reason I came is like you actually showed, quality control, like why it didn't leave, and then the end result after it was fixed or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
imagine honesty is so important,
Yeah.
I'm usually the dude that's like, and I'm the dumb fuck, and this happened.
Yeah.
I mentioned you, Ashton, today in the GEMA interviews. So I did say, like it's amazing what these, some of these people do with their art, just taking art, powder coating instead of being industrial about it, making it more artistic and stuff. And it's just stuff, but I think we got through to them somehow.
I would really like to see, I mean, this is like a pipe dream, and it's just because I grew up with, like an airbrusher and grew up in that hot rod side of life with, a lot of builders being not necessarily put on a pedestal, but they're, like they were kind of treated like athletes. They were sponsored. They had, companies sending them things to, I mean, obviously Gima and Wagner and all these companies are, in my opinion, I think from an outsider's perspective and a consumer's perspective, looking at it, it's like, yeah, the liquid industry is forefront of what everybody looks at when it comes to finishing and like really good results. But if you look at the cost of a unit with a Gima or a Wagner, or even if you go down the line even to a $2,000 gun, those outweigh the amount that it costs to build a sick top of the line liquid spray gun right now. And
Yeah.
I think that's, that it goes to that, huge company type area where, it's like Gima doesn't need to be handing out guns or needs to be sponsoring or whatever you want a different word to pick for that. But I just wish that, these companies were more involved. Like you look at Prismatic. I mean, people can say certain things about Prismatic and the quality of the powder, but at the end of the day, I think they're trying very hard, regardless of like how your spray booth looks or what kind of finish result they're doing. They're putting people out there. They're giving people a platform, and they're really interested from the very small dude cooking in his wife's oven, doing his valve cover with an Eastwood gun. They don't give a shit. And like, I would like to see that, be stretched further up the chain of like, these companies being more involved with not just the, going to the applicators that are dumping hundreds of pounds a day. I think there's a totally different side of this world that it needs to break through.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
I was at Gima headquarters 2 years ago. My son Jack and I, we went to their school, and I had an opportunity to talk to quite a few of the leadership folks, and then also just the regular sales guys. And I said, you guys are missing the custom market so big. You're considering, the large scale industrial operations, but there are so many custom coders out there that you guys just ignore. And I mean, I wouldn't say ignore, but this kind of overlook, and I've run Gimas from day one, and I run a Pro and a 2B both, and they're phenomenal guns. And I'm not taking anything away from anybody else, but as far as the customer service and things go there, it's horrible. And they know it, but they don't care. I mean, it's
because they're making millions.
Yeah.
Well, let's just say billions. They're making billions off of like, I mean, think about how many setups that are around. Like, okay, you're in Michigan, the other guy's in Arizona, and like, I mean, Hawaii's like a fucking hard feat to any kind of manufacturing standard. But I think if you kind of look in your general area and how many manufacturing plants have like a Gima setup in them that you have no idea about, and there could be, I guarantee you there's 20 to 100 in just Washington State alone.
Sure.
I'm like, think about the volume and the money that they're making just off of one state, let alone to the vast majority of, let's say, 35 or 40 states.
No doubt.
It's insane. So yeah, they're gonna overlook us. And it even boils down to like even Cardinal and PPG and some of the bigger box name powder companies. They look at me and laugh, dude.
Right.
They look at me and laugh like, oh, you can save 5 pounds of paint for 6 months.
Right.
Like they could care less. I'm a fucking sneeze in a rag to them.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was part of the podcast today, was just kind of talking around that. And, how can the gun manufacturers pivot or help the workforce problem and educational problem that we're going to be facing as an industry, right? As a greater industry, because we're set to grow so fast. And you know, all of us are set to grow. I'm happy with where we're at with Maui Powderworks. I see a lot of upward growth in terms of market share and stuff like that. And you know, like you said, it's like you know, today's garage coder is tomorrow's, you know, guy that's growing, you know, and getting bigger square footage to take on more jobs. You know, it's got a
Look
scaling.
at Tom Espo from Espo's Powder Coating. I think I would say hands down he's probably one of the most successful, you know, self-made powder coaters in the industry of our time.
Well, he was the one first written about, you
Right.
know.
Like it's insane. Like
There's
where he's
two-tone
came
Terry.
where he's came from and where he's at, like what he's got going now is like, it's insane.
I'd love to have him on the show. I think he'd be great.
And he's hilarious. He's
yeah.
fucking hilarious.
Is he?
Yeah, and then like you got one of his best friends, he's like he's a metal polishing guy, and Nick. Oh my God, the stories those two just post and rant about it's you know, our industry comical gold.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know, I just, you know, my thought was, well, geez, if you could offer like a lower price gun, you know, it probably make it a little bit more entry level friendly, you know, to get more coders involved, you know. But at
I
the
think
same
that
time,
there's a sticky situation with that though, because
yeah, it is.
if you go lower, you know, price on a gun, it's like what I'm dealing with right now. I'm stuck using a knockoff right now, and it's like pulling teeth for me every day, because when you go from a gun where you can tell the gun what you want it to do, and
Yeah.
you kind of built this relationship with this gun that it's giving you back, you know, the registration that it's doing what you're telling it to do, and then when you have a gun that, you know, you're maybe 50% off of what you're asking it to do, is that like, you know, snowballs downhill of just creating bad habits for future coders.
Yeah, that's true. Training them
Because
the
then
wrong way.
then you're compensating, you know, like you're compensating 90% of the time to get that, you know, 90%, 95% approval before you're putting it in the oven, instead of just, you know, pulling and going and being confident that what you just laid down is going to be, you know, to your perfection.
Well, one of the things that, you know, when people start talking about GEMA, they talk about the Wagner, they talked about the Sames, Kremlin, all these things. The one factor that you have to look at, and that is GEMA has more guns in the professional powder coating industry than any other maker. And so that's got to say something. I mean, worldwide, they are the number one.
For what, the last 30 years too?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
20, they said they've been
Yeah.
bootstrapping up.
Jesus.
Yeah. So you know, when you look at that, and people want to say, you know, Wagner, Nordson, and I mean, it's, you know, Cadillac.
You can throw that Nordson out the window, if you ask me.
I love my Nordson.
Ross just shot out Nordson in Las Vegas when he went to Las Vegas, and now he's like totally in love. He wants
I haven't used the Nordson since the Versa Spray 2, and now they just came back out with it and they call it the Vintage. So
Oh.
I haven't used a new age Nordson. So
the saying in my shop is, it's not the wand, it's the wizard.
exactly, my friend. The only gripe I will say that I wish Wagner would do is I wish they would copy Wagner's, or I wish GEMA would copy Wagner's slope control and their double click feature. If GEMA did that, it would sell me on it. Like, I mean, give me 2 days in a spray booth with you with a Wagner, and you would be like, holy shit, like there is things about this gun that a GEMA does not do. But then there's also things that I can get my GEMA to do that, fuck, you might as well run. Oh shit! You might as well just run the Wagner over with the truck.
What just happened? I missed that.
my fucking
Oh.
hose reel.
Oh,
Yeah, it's when I was there and in their lab and stuff, and then I had the chance to talk to Chris Merritt, and
mhm.
and
He's
I
so nice.
he's a great guy, and I also was at PCI 202 when he was there, and I also had some additional conversations with him, and I said, the custom powder coating world is in love with your guns. I mean, there are a lot of them out there, and I don't think you guys really realize how many are out there in the custom side of things. And you guys just don't market to that. You just market strictly to the industrial side.
Hmm.
And it's the typical nod your head type of thing. But again, there's a whole market there, and they just kind of just don't pay
Well,
attention.
here's my my summary on all of that is advertise everywhere and then restrict access.
Yeah.
Make it hard for them to get the product. I don't
I
get
think-
that, but whatever.
I think the also like the head nod or the eye roll towards the custom, coder aspect with GEMA is not a lot of these dudes can just throw down $6,800 on a gun right then and there.
Right.
And I mean, I would love to be swayed. I would love to have a GEMA rep come in here and bring me a demo and really, peel my brain back and let me pick his brain on how and what the gun actually does, so I have a better understanding of it. I've never had that opportunity like I have with a Wagner rep.
Yeah.
So like in my area, the Wagner reps are, by the dozen, and I would say half of them relay good information, but then there's the other half that do or don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned this earlier before everybody hopped on, but the thing is you tend to be like in the camp that you are because you didn't have another opportunity to try something else, right? You either worked for somebody that had a GEMA or a Wagner or a Parker, and you just stick with that because that's what you know. But if you were given the option to choose from, like a place to go to equally try them all out, then you could make a better selection for yourself. I don't know, better for your team. Who knows? But it seems to be like, once you're in that camp, you're in that camp. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if I had fuck you money, I would probably have one of everything. Like I'm really curious to like get my hands on a CMIS and fuck with the CMIS for a month to see how well it works. But then it's like, I'm so, like I said, I'm so akin to having that slope feature with the Wagner that it's like you
Right.
can really be careless and come out with a stupid fucking cool finish. And then I can set the Wagner to one setting and do like 6 coats without 0 back ionization.
Right. Well,
And that, I mean, I'm sure you can do that with the GEMA. I'm not saying
Right.
you can't, but
Right.
what I see with the GEMA is people always just have their KV and their microamps just fucking to the moon, and they're double, triple, 4 coating things, and you're like, damn, like that's the code I want to crack and I want to understand, because I mean, I'm a cup gun guy, so it's like I'm using half the air, half the power, half of what you guys have to do to push through a hose. And I mean, maybe that's where I have the upper hand because I can manipulate how much I'm feeding really down to the very point, like you can't out of a box fed unit, in my opinion.
yeah, with the GEMA Pro, I've had my Pro B now a year and a half, and then I've had my 2B for 3 years, and then I had a 1B for 2 years prior to that. So I've went through the whole gamut. I use my 2B as a primer gun, strictly as a primer gun,
Oh.
and my
Nice.
Pro gun is for colors. And good friend of ours, Clint Olson, Pro Coat, powder coating in I think Saucier, Mississippi is where Clint's at. He got me on to using fluidized hoppers on so many
Yeah.
standard colors and switching from the box feed feature and using fluidizing hoppers. And I'll tell you, it's been a game changer there. It really,
then that's when you can really dial down.
really does. And that GEMA will do, you go in your settings and then you switch it over back over to fluidizing versus box, and you've got a whole nother,
you got a whole totally different gun.
You're right. I haven't used my Corona ring in 6 months. I just don't need it.
What were the benefits that you were seeing using the Corona ring? Because I've been curious about it myself.
Well, here's something that's interesting about that, and we did this in the GEMA lab with one of their tech guys who's pretty smart. And he said, "Watch this." We put the Corona ring on, and Clint Olson was also there for this little test they did. They took 2 flat panels. They put the Corona ring on. They did 3 passes on a piece of aluminum. They took the Corona ring off, did 3 passes identical on the same piece of aluminum. We put them in the oven. We pulled them out. Now, this was the first coat. We pulled them out, and the mill thickness on the one with the Corona ring was double of what the second panel was without a Corona ring. And that was the first coating. So they could not explain that. They could not explain why the coating is thicker with the ring on there. Of course, we know it captures ions that are floating around and reduces the BI aspect of it, but they themselves could not determine why the mill thickness was thicker with the ring on versus the ring off.
See, in my experience with the Corona ring, you get better transfer efficiency.
Yeah.
So it might just be as simple as that. More is actually just sticking.
Yeah, well, definitely. Yeah, that's what you were definitely seeing on that first coat for sure. And so what you realize though is, and it proved this is so once you get that base coat on and now you're going to a second or a third, and people think I need the Corona ring to knock down the back ionization, you're building your mill thickness almost 2 to 1 without it.
Yeah.
And it can really, if you don't know what you're doing, can cause you more of a problem.
Right.
So, and that's a $500 option. In other words, I bought my Pro, and the Corona ring I had for the 2B doesn't fit the Pro.
Oh, of course.
So they get you for another $500 for the Corona ring. I have it. Yes, I use it sometimes if we're shooting a candy or a heavy metallic or something, but most of the time it just sits in the tray in the gun and I don't use it. But interesting little test we did in the GEMA lab itself. So
yeah, we did talk about that. There's I didn't want to give it all away on the podcast because it's going to come out, and they did an excellent explanation. I would suggest you viewing it on YouTube because both guests offered different ways of visually understanding the voltage and currents, adjustments on their guns and stuff when they're manually coding and stuff. But it was all based on this article in Product Finishing Magazine from Jeff Hale. So Jeff Hale's the marketing director for GEMA, and so I will try to edit that one so that part of the show kind of comes more to the first part of the show, so you're not having to listen to the whole show, although I'd love for you to listen to the whole show. But maybe I can edit it so that part of the show kind of is at the very beginning, because it's a really important part that kind of came towards the end of the interview. But it was a good show, and I can't wait to produce it and stuff. So how big is your shop, Rich? I've always been curious about how big you are and, more about your shop. Tell us what you've got capabilities.
Yeah. So right now I have I can run up to 16 feet. I have 16 foot of oven. I've got I've got kind of a luxury here because I have chemical stripping in one building. I have sandblasting in another building. I have powder booth and oven in one building, and then directly joined next to that is powder storage, customer parts, supply storage, and whatnot. So if you put everything together, my buildings, I'm probably, in that 5,000 square feet arena. My son was with me for the last 2 years. He got laid off during the pandemic, started working for me. Jack, and then he got an incredible opportunity to go to a big industrial shop out in Wyoming.
Wow.
Interviewed him, hired him, and I mean, he's their leadoff guy right now, 23 years old, and is just killing it. I'm proud as hell of him.
Oh,
But
you should be.
but he left me in last October. So man, I'm back to a one-man show, and I am stopped. This
Oh
old man is
man.
getting killed daily. I'm getting killed.
Are
I
you
wish I could.
looking for someone?
Yeah, I've got a couple folks, a couple retired guys actually that have approached me and said that they're willing to come a couple days a week to give me a hand, because I've got a ton of industrial, I've got a ton of custom, I've got you know,
How
batch
big is your
stuff,
setup?
batch stuff. I've got, you know, anything, you know, the normal stuff like what we all have, but then I've also got a couple big manufacturing companies that I do some aerospace stuff, and you know, it just, I've got the gamut, man. I've
Yeah.
got all of it.
Well, I'm voting for you to start your own regional powder school to train up the workforce. If you can manage that with a 23-year-old, never mind your own son, because you know how hard it is to train family, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful accomplishment, Rich. I'm glad you shared that with us.
Yeah, he's Jack King. He's reached out to Ashton, I think, and he's talked to Nick Bocut. He was a big time custom coder and was so against industrial, so against it. And then they literally did a phone interview with him and called him back and hired him 20 minutes later, and he's running their day shift powder coat line. And
that's awesome.
Industrial.
Nick Bocut's pretty much, I would say, in my opinion, like that dude gets to do the shit I dream about doing every day.
Great coder. Yeah, got to meet Nick at PCI 202. He and I were in the same class together, and we got to chat. Fantastic young man, and man, does he do some great finishes. Just, you know.
What's the name of his?
He works for JB Laser out of Boise.
Okay.
I thought he owned his own shop, and he's like, no, dude, I work for somebody else. And I was like, what?
Wow.
Yeah, he does some great work.
Oh, here we go.
In
Boise, you said?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna.
They do a lot of you know, diesel wheels and shit.
They're following us, but I hadn't followed them back. Okay, so I got them now. Cool.
Yeah, Nick. I had like a little panic attack when I had to switch back to my old gun, and Nick's like, "Dude, the shit you were doing with the Gema years ago was like made the whole world stop." He's like, "Just fucking deal with it, dude." He's like, "You'll be fine." And, you know, it took me about a week to finally be like, get over it.
Well, we can pretty much talk about anything. Let's see. I think.
Well, you know, Kim, one thing that I think would be a good. You hit on it a lot with your podcast and whatnot, but here's something that I get probably. I probably talk to 5. I would say on average of 5 to maybe 10 coders a day, different coders around the country that contact me. Hey, Rich, what do you think about this? Or I contact them. Hey, what do you think about this? Have you know, we laugh.
I swear I deal with that more than I actually paint every day.
Yeah. You know,
I tell people how to powder coat every day for free.
Yep. That's it. We
got to do something about that.
Yeah, you know, you cry on each other's shoulders. You lend support. you tell man the customer horror stories. You show off your good work. You show off your screw ups. You know, but the point of it is that in the powder coating industry, it's almost like a buddy system. You really need that confidant, that person that you can reach out to, and like Ashton said, I mean, I spend half the day. My wife will tell you it drives her crazy because somebody's calling me, Rich, what do I do about this? What you got to fix for this? Or what would you do? Or how do I fix this? And I don't mind, because when I started out, people did that for me.
Yeah.
But I just think that, you know, if I were again back starting brand new out again, I think it's important, you know, that you find somebody that you can trust, that gives you reliable information. that you can talk to them and you can build a relationship. I've got 4 or 5 guys that, I mean, I talk to them every single day, damn near. And we bounce things off one another and we try things and we say, have you tried this powder? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? Man, this stuff is junk. Oh, this is good. You know, this customer I want to kill. You know, and you need that. You really do
Yeah.
in this industry. You need support from the others around you. And I have several coders in my area, and I'm friends with all of them. I send them jobs all the time because I can't get to it. I don't want it. It's too big. It's too complicated. Hey, guys, come to my shop. Rich, can you help me out? Yeah, I know you got that big chem tank. Can you strip some wheels for me? Yep. What do you charge me? We'll figure it out. We'll do something here. Rich, I need powder. Can you sell me some powder? Yep, I can sell you some powder. You know, I'm not
I'm
a
the
guy
same way, brother.
yeah, it's like I'm trying to help the guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not. You want to shop me with your prices? Just call me, Rich. When
Yeah,
you get the wheels,
yeah.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
have to shop me. You know.
I think the coolest thing about, I mean, shit, I got a handful of dudes that, you know, daily or at least once or 3 times a week or whatever, between, I got friends in Canada, I got friends in Australia, I got people in Arizona, I got people in Texas, you know, they're coming to me to give them confidence in a sense. Like they're, you know, like they're second guessing themselves. They'll come to me with questions. But what I kind of find, especially now that he talks about it, is I feel like it keeps us, you know, I mean, for some reason, you know, people look at my stuff and they just freak the fuck out. And it's like, what I do isn't like I figured out the Da Vinci Code, dude. Like, it's not, if you just sit the fuck down, chill out, and just take the time, like, stop worrying about how much time is money. And, you know, if that's what the customer wants, that's what you got to give them. You got to devote the time. And I think, you know, I've had the upper hand in the sense of I spent a lot of time and my money trial and error. Like, luckily,
Yeah.
I had an industry that gave me the opportunity to just go buck wild every time I was doing something. So, like, yeah, I may have the upper hand in that aspect, but when it, going back to like people asking me how to do this or how to do that or what should I do? I fucked this up and this and that. And it's like, it keeps me fresh. It keeps me fresh and it reminds me of how to do things because I don't know if you guys are like this, but I forget more than I know every day. You know what I mean? And it's like you can step in the booth just after you've cleaned it. It's perfect. Your hooks are bare. Your ground is perfect. And then it looks like it's the first time you've ever shot gloss black. You know, so
Yeah.
it's like, you know, refreshing those, just like your process and telling things. Also, things change every day, man. Like gloss black or silver and candy might have sprayed fucking beautiful yesterday, and tomorrow it's
Mhm.
going to be a different temperature,
Yep.
and the pressure in your shop is going to be totally different than it was yesterday. So
Right.
you just have to kind of learn how to accommodate. And I think we're all perfectionists and we're all our own critics. So like, I think what our eyes are trained to see, 90% of our customers, not saying that you should push out bad shit, but I think some days we have to like take a step back and look at like PCIs, like, you know, what is the footage range on like imperfection or like
Right.
something falling in? Like, there's things out of our control in this industry, whether it's in the paint booth or it's impacted in your gun or if it's in your oven, like, or if it's in the air system in your shop that's heating and cooling your shop. Like, there's so many aspects of things that can make things go wrong or whatever, but like we have to kind of step back, take a breath, and just be like, this is what this is, you know, like we're giving you our best effort, we're giving you the best product, we're not cutting any corners, and shit just happens sometimes.
Right.
You know, Ross and I have been talking about this because we're thinking about expanding. We know we need to expand to the mainland.
You're coming
Um,
home.
uh,
If you guys come home, I'll shut my business down and move to Vegas.
I was actually gonna tell you to come here and live in my house and you powder coat, but but you know, some of what we some of the kind of thoughts that we've had about it is, could we establish a sort of a lab, I guess, for lack of a better word, where we could invite, you know, people like yourselves down to the shop. I mean, it's a destination, so, you know, maybe, you know, you could get some fun time in too, right? Some vacation time in there, and just record you, you know, record, you know,
Everything. It could be like it
just
could be like actual on-site podcast.
a
It,
mind dump, you know,
it
of,
could be everything.
yeah, because it's these little things, especially with restoration, you know, everything is just, you have to just, it's a just different altogether. It's different for new versus old.
Yeah.
And it would be so nice if we could somehow capture it, the way, right? Of, you know, there's idiosyncrasies with all of us, right? And I'm not saying make one big giant, you know, batch of cookies, but like, you know, there's a perspective that you bring, Rich, and there's a perspective that Palmer and even Paul from AVP that can, you know, and that's the benefit of me having to have interviewed so many people thus far with the podcast, and the perspective that I bring to it is that you all are wonderful. You are all friends, and you all bring something to the table, and you have something to offer. And it would be so nice if there could be some kind of an online something, you know, to get this information out to the greater public, um, to grow the business, um,
It could be like a Wikipedia of powder coating.
Yeah,
right?
and I brought this up at one of the schools I was at, and I said, you know, Columbia Coatings has a school to learn how to shoot their gun, and GEMA has a school to learn how to shoot their gun, and you know, Wagner and Nordson and some of these other ones all have their own little school to shoot
Hmm.
their gun and to use their gun and repair their gun. But
And Joey
yep,
from Powder X, you
yep,
know.
yep. But there is not a school out there, and I'm an old guy, right? I mean, I'm slow. I've traveled my whole life. I'm done traveling. But if somebody wanted to come up with a consortium, and you
Hmm.
take Roro, okay, you take Mr. Speed, you take Ashton, and you take you know, your restoration people, and you made a week school, not going to Powder Week down in Orlando to listen to GEMA guy talk and to listen to TCI Powder guy
Yeah,
talk.
see, like those kind of classes would do nothing for me. Like to go listen to just people talk all day. Like I
Oh,
need to
right.
be I
No,
need to
Yeah.
be
but
in
I'm
like
saying, right, I'm saying you have a lab set up and you bring Roe in and you have him, you know, show how he's doing wheels, and you bring Robert Soka in and he does the two-tone.
yeah,
You
dude.
bring in,
Yeah.
you know, that's
Robert
where,
Soka is the GOAT.
Everybody's
Hands
specialty.
fucking down.
yes.
Yeah.
And you
We
know, you just have a breakout session and you have that in the lab though, and you charge for it, of course, to bring these guys in and to have them give you a week school. Could you imagine what you could get if you brought the best custom powder coaters in
That's my
the
thought.
world
Hmm.
for a week, and each one of them had 6 hours of that lab to show you their skill?
Yeah,
Oh my
that's what
God.
I'm thinking.
You know,
But how?
yeah.
I
Well,
mean, you know, obviously I texted just, you know, when we were kind of just tossing this idea around, you know, I just reached out to, you know, just a couple things, you know, couple guys, and everybody said, yes, I'm in, right? I mean, these are influencers in the market, some of which are mentioned here
yep.
today, right now. And yeah, let's do it. I mean, we've got nothing to lose, right?
Don't call me an influencer, please. We've had this conversation before.
Well, I'm definitely not an influencer with my gray hair and glasses.
Like if I'm influencing you to powder coat, I am so fucking sorry. Like you're gonna have nights of sleepless anxiety. You're gonna go to bed thinking about the stupidest, littlest part you got to do tomorrow, and then you get to the shop and you forget to do it.
Yeah.
Like it's,
I
I
think
don't like. I would say like the whole influencer thing is rad. I'm not discrediting that hustle at all, but like at the end of the day, I don't know why I can make myself marketably appealing. It's just it comes with nature. I was born at the end of the working man age and the beginning of the technology boom, and I just learned how to talk on social media for some reason. But
right.
I would
You're
say
the
like
anti-influencer influencer.
I guess I'm just doing it naturally, whatever it is. But I I don't know. I think, you know, it's like I'm coming into my 30s and it's like where else am I gonna go with my talents or my skill set? Like, yeah, I want to continue to have my business running, and maybe some days I could pass it on to my kids, or my, you know, I could sell it and give something to my kids or whatever it may be. But I'm, you know, I think it just comes from like me growing up racing BMX and teaching the little kids how to ride and have, you know, the proper posture and yada 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 yada. But I think that's kind of where my brain goes, is like I would like to be teaching or just something within the industry to spread awareness, because it's like at the end of the day, I think if you look at a major production shop that is just spitting shit out, and they have it, it's not that it's not professional or anything, but the quality isn't there like what it would be like on, you know, what's coming out of my shop or what's coming out of your guys' shops or whatever. Like there's a huge divide where like I used to be a coating applicator for somebody and I hated my job, you know? So I had to figure out some way to keep what I knew that I was good at, because where else was I going to go at, you know, 26, 27 years old? What was I just going to start over in life and climb back up the ladder? Like I
Right.
had to make what I was good at interesting to me again.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, you
you know,
found your
like
passion for
I
sure.
feel like there's a lot of coding applicators out there that are going to work every day for maybe their boss is
Oh,
an asshole,
definitely.
or maybe they're making a shit wage and they're throwing down, you know, like they're in there doing a good job, but they're, you know, like they're struggling mentally because this is not an easy industry to be in, whether you're an owner operator or you're an owner and you have operators for you, or you're just an operator or you're just a sandblaster. Like I've had friends kill themselves because of this job. And I would like to see, you know, not only just a push for, you know, information to be put out there, but also like there's a side of this industry that is actually enjoyable. There is sides of this that you can achieve, you know, like, and I think that needs to be broadcasted more instead of just like it being so gatekeepy and,
Right. Right.
you know, it's
Well, I think, Rich, I disagree with you. I think you are an influencer. I think you are, in your own way and in your own level of support that you give everyone on Facebook and stuff like that. So, uh, please take that to heart. But secondly, you know, those schools or programs that we're talking about right now that are out there, they're only giving you like what it's like to coat something new, like a
Yeah.
panel or
Yep.
something. They're
Yep.
not training you to do the restoration side of it. And that is a huge, huge
No.
gap, and a huge, you know, like that's really where the questions start to come, right?
Sure.
Is through restoration and stuff. So
Yep.
I think there's a huge miss there. And there always will be, because the average custom coating shop isn't just doing new stuff. Do we like to do new stuff all the time?
Sure.
Right. But we don't always
shit.
have that option. We have to have other things in place, right? Processes in place.
I hop and skip when new stuff comes in my door.
Right. Yeah. It's,
But I also think like I mean, the ease of doing something fresh and new is always just amazing. But I think why we all keep waking up and coming back to doing what we're doing is like, I grew up sanding cars and painting and sanding and painting and sanding and painting and sanding. And there's nothing more defeating than doing body work and painting and sanding and then it's still not straight or whatever it may be. I think there's something about powder coating that is like instant gratification. And
Mhm.
if you're good at what you do, powder coating is fucking brainless. I'm sorry to say that. It may be offensive to some people, but like for me the dumbest thing is like when I'm powder coating, 90% of the time I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to an audiobook, and that's when I perform the best because my
Well, you're
brain,
dropping out. Yeah.
like my brain is over here doing something else, but
Mhm.
then at the same time my body is so used to just muscle memory of doing stuff that it's
Mhm.
like that's when I'm calm, that's when I can focus, and that's when the best work comes out of me is when my brain is being fed something that is making me learn something else,
Well,
like
you're a super creator,
it's fucking weird.
that's a super creator. That's what a super creator does. But I know with Ross, like when it comes to restoration and something comes up in the shop, comes to him and the guy's looking at him, can you do it? Can you do it for cheap? Like I swear to God, he has like, he has like, you know, he almost he feels it in his whole body, like, oh, I remember when I did this the last time and it was effed up and then I got lost out on the job. Like he just has this whole muscle, is more than a muscle memory. It's a whole body thing that just where he remembers that memory and then he's like, no, you need to, like we need to charge this much, I'm sorry, we can't, now we're just like pushing jobs back on people. It's like, no, we're not charity case people anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I
it's
do.
wild to me to just hear the price differences from like
yeah. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
the amount of what I do, that most people won't do when it comes to custom stuff or two-tone stuff or just off the wall crazy stencil work. It's like, people don't even want to pay me what I'm worth here, but then you hear about what people are making in Arizona or what people are making in Florida, and it's just like, what?
Well, we're all going to be saved by Steve Nelson's app, right? Pricing app. I think that's what he was wanting to create, right? Was a pricing app for us all. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be sick to have like a national, like a booklet, a national cost of what every powder coating shop could go by.
Yeah.
Whether, I mean, I understand certain, like I live in Idaho, and Idaho used to be, a fairly easy state, a fairly affordable state to live in. Obviously, I don't think anywhere's like that anymore because of just, the economy and how the world is and yada, yada, yada. We could go on for days about that shit. But if there was a national
database
of, what a linear foot on gate should be, or what a linear foot on ornamental gate should, or handrail, or whatever it should be, or even just all the way down to a valve cover, an intake manifold, like, like there should be, like, just like there is for any of the mechanic shops, there's a database of how many hours it's going to take, whether or not that mechanic is inclined to do it in less or not. There should be, I don't know why there's not. There should be a
Well, I think
database for big industrial shops. There should be a
I
database for
yeah. I wish
manufacturing.
I wish Paul was still here because he does it by the hour and he's really worked hard at his pricing and I think that's the most accurate way to go about doing it. It's most technical and most
People
accurate.
get cold feet though when you say my shop is ran at an hourly rate.
Right, that's true.
Like,
Customers
and
me, yeah.
that's the shitty thing. Like I get, 5 to 20 phone calls a day, and what is come out of their mouth? The first thing I ever say anything. They don't even say, "Hey, how's it going?" It's, "Hey, can you give me a price on this, that, or the other?" And it's like, yeah, I'm going to give you a price, but it's not going to be guaranteed because I don't know what it looks like. I don't know how much paint's on it, if there's any paint on it. Like,
Right.
or how big it is, or what color you want, or yada. You
Yep.
know, there's just so many ladders we got to climb up, and
I know
I think
that's why I came up with the rim cost thing. I was driving myself crazy with Ross. I'm like,
I
he
don't
was
see how
losing
people
money
can
left
just
and right.
afford. I don't see how people can afford spending, you know, $7,000 to $10,000 on building a chemical strip setup. Like that's fucking
That's the argument
asinine.
of the hour with the Scots right
It's
now.
fucking crazy. I'm like, I need it so bad, but I
You
can't.
can have it.
I can't afford it. Let alone like,
I'll
okay, I
ship
can
you
barely.
ours. Ross is not impressed so far with our tank, but
I can barely breathe with the shit I'm using right now in a little
mm,
tiny bucket, stripping little tiny
yeah.
parts. You know, it's
Uh,
like,
I,
what is a huge system gonna do in here when, you know?
I kind of, you know, realized in the very beginning, making as many screw ups as I did, learning, you know, the number one thing you got to have is you got to have good blasting and you got to have a good chem tank. You've got to
Yeah,
be.
that's you have to that and a good air compressor.
Yep. And so, you know, I fabbed up mine, had mine fabbed up, and I bought an IBC from Benco just before the pandemic. So I had 275 gallons, and it takes 250 to fill my tank. And
Jeez,
then
what are you doing to neutralize it?
and here's a something that I'll throw out there. It's a little trade. I wouldn't call it a trade secret, but it's something that I stumbled into.
hmm
And I had a neutralizing tank, and last winter was really cold, typical Michigan, and I'm rinsing parts in the neutralizing tank, and I'm rinsing them, and I'm neutralizing them, I'm rinsing them, and I noticed that the tank was getting really strong. My primary, not my big 5 foot tank, but the IBC rinse tank was
Hmm.
now becoming an additional chemical strip tank with a ton of water on top of it. So what that has
Mm-hmm.
allowed me to do now is I'm still working off my tank is still full off my original 250 gallons. What I do now is let's say I've got wheels that I'm not going to get to till next week. I'll take them and put them in my quote
Oh,
unquote
Yeah, you're
rinse tank
slow. All the yeah.
pre-strip.
free strip that works absolutely beautiful as a
So are
strip.
you using B17?
And and
Yeah,
then
he is.
I'll bring that out, of course, and then I have a dedicated neutral tank for neutralizing. But I just stumbled into it. But my original rinse tank, because I didn't drop the pH in it, got behind on putting in my baking soda and my trisodium phosphate, became a secondary strip tank.
Wow.
Greasy, nasty stuff. It never goes in my good tank. It goes in that.
No, God
It's
no.
waste, right? But I've
That's
recovered that, put water on top of it. It does not smell because it's got so much water on top of it. And
Right.
at the bottom of it, the first, probably 2 feet is all of the acid that's sitting there. You throw your part in there. You don't have to worry about eating the aluminum. You don't have to worry about eating magnesium, anything like that. A couple days later, come back, pull it out. You got a clean part.
Really? Wow, that's a really good tip. I like that.
that's like he said like greasy, right? So I wish somehow customers had like a Rolodex of information that, you know, for like I wish customer etiquette was the thing in powder coating world.
Yeah.
Because I could tell a fucking repeat customer a million times, do not bring me stuff with any kind of grease on it. Like,
Right.
please degrease it as best as you can. As long as you've tried, just please, just
Yeah.
try for me. Oh my God. The other day, I'm just like, you know what? I made a post about it. I'm like, if anybody brings me anything caked with grease again, I'm going to hit you with a $200 degreasing fee.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know, and like if that doesn't stop people, then cool. I'll take your money because like I'm sorry, but I can't touch it. I've worked 20 years to make my hands this dry so I can touch raw substrate and not have any issues.
Right.
I don't want to start now.
Yeah.
And let
I
alone,
wrote
you
a
know,
I wrote a
getting it in
blog
my
post about it.
sandblast CAD. You know, I spend thousands of dollars on on garnet, a month to every 2
Right.
months.
Right.
Like, you think I want to dump a bunch of garnet that's somewhat still usable because
Right.
you didn't want to clean your shit?
Right. That's one of the nice things about having that. It's a waste tank is what it is, and you can throw it in there. You don't have to worry about getting my good. It keeps my
Yeah.
B17
Keep your
tank
good
nice and
stuff
fresh.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
keeps it nice and fresh. You get rid of the grease and the junk in this scrap tank, more or less, and time is on your side. A week later, it's stripped, and you never had to get open up your big tank,
Hell
rinse
yeah.
it, you're good to go.
Have you
That's
guys seen
brilliant.
I can't remember what it's called. There's like a chemical strip company on Instagram that does a bunch of reels of them dipping cars and then pressure washing them and stuff.
I haven't seen that.
Dipping
Oh, it's just,
cars.
yeah, like they're chemical stripping cars,
Yeah.
they're
Wow.
anything and everything you could think of. And it's posted to good music, and the dude's really informative and funny and yada yada. I'm spacing his name right now, but I was thinking about it. I'm like, why isn't there powder shops that have, a pretty big enough tank to do a car? So like, think about it. You could have your own blast business. You could have your own chemical stripping business on top of, like, then you have within the same building your finishing business. Like, I'm just very surprised that there's not powder shops out there that do have, a pool size strip tank that are also just offering chemical strip to, like the hot rod builders, and if they're not wanting to get a car blasted, and
I do a lot of that. I will strip a lot of parts. The guys will just want stuff stripped, and they want to wet paint it, or they want to, some of the manufacturing different people we have, they'll want it stripped, and then they'll take it back, and then they'll, have to put it in a jig or weld it up or whatnot. So with my tank, I've got probably my tank is probably the biggest one next to I think Detroit Wheel in refurbishing. They have, I think their tank is, I think they have a 10-foot tank, but mine's 5 foot. So I have about the biggest one here in Michigan. So I get a lot of that stuff. And yeah, you can build a whole business just off stripping, and a whole business just off blasting, and a whole bit, and that's kind of how
crazy.
I set up with 3
I
different builds.
guess some of the ones that, like, when people call us for stripping or blasting, mostly it's blasting, if it's steel, they got to know what they're doing with it after, like, because the minute it's done out of the blast room, if, we try to put an inhibitor on there,
Right.
that we've covered here on the show, one of the ones we use, it'll give you like 72 hours. But a lot of these guys don't realize, okay, as soon as it comes out of the blast room, you got to send it to your painter, or you got to do something with that.
You're in a really small time window, especially
Yeah,
depending on
exactly.
what's in the air and where, especially in your guys' environment.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much. Yeah. So, it's fine enough that they call, and we get calls all the time. A lot of calls we're getting right now is for mobile blasting, and stuff. So I'm seeing an uptick with that. It's possible we might be able to get into that fairly easily, um, but yeah, not right now. It's not enough calls, I guess. So
That,
we
or it's
just,
like educating your customer on, like, they bring you, a mixture of parts, aluminum, steel, this, that, or the other, and it's like, I think it's one thing. I think I've only seen one person preface this in our industry, and it's Kaiser, because Kaiser's God when it comes to just doing things by the fucking book. But, he was touching on, like, you can't, like, if I have a bunch of steel in the shop that I'm, blasting and coating, I can't just switch to aluminum parts without cleaning out my room, because all
I
your
heard
media
that
is
one. Yeah.
contaminated with carbon.
Right.
So
Right.
it's like, I'm a pretty big stickler about that, just because I'm a one-man band. I don't like to redo stuff as much as I don't have to. But it's like, if I got dirty steel coming in, I got a bunch of, like, burnt media or halfway good media that might be dirty. Yeah, I'll blast the steel with it, but if anything's going in my cabinet that's brand new aluminum, or any kind of aluminum, that's always a fresh bag of 100 or 80 grit garnet that's going in.
Okay. I got a thing going on with Mike Wood. I don't know that guy.
You
Anyways,
guys heard about the Hunter Grit shortage with garnet right now?
Mm-mm.
no.
So my local blasting outfit that I get, my products from, like they sell Trinco products. They also sell GMA garnet and any kind of other blast material you could think of. But I was getting Hunter Grit, and it was from a company called, I think, Imperial, or I can't remember. But apparently the whatchamacallit, the the mine that the garnet was coming out of, I guess, was here in Idaho, and they like basically ran out of it. Sorry about that.
Yeah. I did a show with G. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank now. Not GFS. What's the company we order from? The Garnet Company out of Texas. Damn, I'm
GMA.
drawing. GMA. Thank you. It said GM was going GFS. I did an interview with him, and of course, their mines are in Australia. They were
That's
pretty
wild
well.
because doesn't a bunch of the pigment that goes in a lot of our powders come from Australia too?
Oh, I don't know.
I heard that years ago, or maybe it's like Gema, or not Gema, but Tiger Drylac or something like that's from Australia. I don't
Austria.
know.
They're from
Austria.
Austria. I'm gonna have I'm booking in a podcast with Kevin Biller from ChemQuest. And he's just retiring now and has a little extra free time. He does the podcast,
Yeah.
him and Nathan. So I'm hoping to have them on the show. And my idea there behind the show is to do, do a basic 101 on powders or chemical makeups of powders and formulations and metallics and bonded metallics and the differences, some of the key points that we all need to know about the basics of what we're shooting. So I hope to get him on the show real soon. Um, as far as I know, most of theirs they own their own mine. So number one, you have to, like that's how they're supplying and continuing to supply their supply of garnet is with their own mines out of Australia. As far as like what else was said about the China one, I think I covered that with Blast One with what's his name? Joe Taylor, Jeff Taylor, Jay's and Joe's and Jeff's. And they were, the China stuff isn't as, not coarse, but it's fragmented more. It fragments more. It's just not as good a quality.
Doesn't have like 8 times impact per edge.
Yeah, it's a sustainability or impact thing. Like how many times does it take before it breaks, and stuff. So, So that was. I haven't done any more blasting shows from that. I felt like I kind of covered the gist of most of the key points with the 3 or 4 shows that we did on it. But if there's any topics or anything that people want to talk about or have me on the show, I'm always looking for show ideas. I just kind of follow my own, sorry, it's a bug, kind of follow my own mind on that, but it just happens.
I think what you're doing for our industry is like, as cliche as it sounds, it's kind of God's work, because we've never had, I mean, we got like Powder Coater magazine, we got certain things in the industry, but like I don't get that kind of stuff. Like I think you're at the forefront of, just giving everybody a platform to talk on and
Yeah.
bullshit or whatever. And then you're also just interviewing people that don't necessarily get interviewed. Like the GEMA interview, that's going to be awesome to listen to. Like those are the things that like people like me, and I would say a lot of the custom coders, maybe I could be wrong, but like that's kind of information we're looking for. You ask the dirty nitty gritty questions. You're not scared to, throw shade or call them on their shit. So it's
Yeah,
nice
I did a little bit. I did a little bit today on
it's
the
nice.
interview.
It's nice to have what you're doing, because you're bringing you're bringing much more awareness than you think you are, and you're just, like I said, you're giving us all a platform to not only, promote ourselves, but just, spread the knowledge that, I can spread knowledge all day, every day, but when I get on here and get to talk, it inspires more people to reach out to me, and it's just just a trickling effect. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when I went to Powder Coating Week, I saw a major change in the industry towards me. I wasn't expecting uh, to go through, I mean, like just through the trade show part or the exhibitor part. Everybody was yelling my name. I didn't even know these
See,
people, and they all hear
you're
the
the influencer, Kim.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, I, I I underestimated the popularity. I mean, I know that you guys all listen to my show, and I'm so grateful and thankful and stuff, but this was like a head turning moment for me because I realize now the industry is starting to turn and pay attention to me and the show
They're
and what I'm
listening.
saying and stuff. Yeah, they're listening. And I notice this because immediately after I'll see something like uh for instance, I just came out with the interview for Product Finishing Magazine where I was interviewed, which I'll tell you, being a guest is hard. I'm much more comfortable being the interviewer. Um, but it was a great place for and platform for me to kind of put out where I think I'm at right now in my thinking about the industry. I feel like I'm pretty close to what's really going on, at least in our world. I can't speak for multi-million dollar powder coaters, but um, I noticed that I published some social media content from the podcast, and then immediately I saw that finishing and coating. Now it could have been a coincidence, but finishing and coating, which is Tim Pennington, who's been on the show. I'd love to have him back, and he he published an article on a guy who just started 4 or 5 years ago at 19, and now he's running a 14,000 square foot shop. So that to me, I feel like that's a step in the right direction to start paying attention. And it's that was my main comment. I haven't posted it on LinkedIn where they all are, but I got enough clout where I think people are hearing about the show and learning more about the show, and I do continue to have expert guests. I've got more in the works that are coming on that are going to talk about some more global issues too as well. So I'm encouraged by what I see. I'm happy with the milestones, and I'm hoping by the time we're done publishing this show today, we're so close to 25,000 downloads. Do you know how big that is in podcasting? That is huge.
That's a lot.
Huge, huge, huge. It's
And then
it's amazing.
you're gonna get like like sponsors like BetterHelp and like Manscaped, and you're gonna start making your own like protein pills and like
Yeah,
focus
right.
pills
Be
and
shred. Be shred.
yeah. Focus 101 for powder coating.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it is nice to see though what the podcast has done, because it has brought to light so many different aspects of the industry. I think Ashton is right. You get to a point where literally you can shoot powder in your sleep. Okay, you literally can, right? But can you manage the phone? Can you chemically strip? Can you sandblast? Can you package your customer parts? Can you still shoot that part? Can you order that powder that's needed? Can you make your customer's deadline? And all of that aspect is all impacted by, can you get media? Can you get chemical stripper? Can you get hooks? Can you get parts for your Gema gun or your Wagner gun or your Nordson or whatever? Those are the things that truly, powder coating is not about powder coating. Powder coating is about problem solving and troubleshooting, because that's what you do
all day,
Yeah.
every day.
Amen.
Every,
Amen, Rich.
I
I knew you would be good to come on the show, and you were being all shy. I knew you had something to say.
I mentored under a very, very, very well-known powder coater and guy been in the industry a long time. And he explained to me in the very beginning, he said, listen, I can take the Harbor Freight dual voltage gun and shoot as good as you can with that GEMA. He said, once you learn how to powder coat, you learn how to powder coat. He said, that's not the game. The game is how do you save things, how you troubleshoot, how do you fix things, how you repair your screw up, how do you give
Exactly.
product.
You're not a good coder unless you can fix what you fuck up.
Yes, it's not about coding. It's about being able to have those off days and still be able to pull it out.
What about forgiving yourself for making a mess up?
Oh, dude, I just had to do that. The guy walks in, grabs the brake calipers I spent the last 2 days stripping and fucking redoing, just shakes my hand and walks out. And I'm almost like, fuck. It's such a,
Yeah.
It tests your patience. It tests everything about you to not,
Yeah.
to fucking lose your shit because you just wasted a half a week of wages.
Right.
Maybe I should
that-
make a rehab center.
Yeah, fucking.
Wayward
is
powder
that-
coaters. I'd make a lot more money.
What is that called when somebody's like, oh, yeah, I'm on suicide watch right now.
Yeah, no joke. I know. I think Ross is right there with you. And it's driving us to kind of think, okay, we need to go to the mainland. We need to start
Yeah, I couldn't
branching out with
imagine
some of
trying
our
to
stuff.
run a powder shop in Hawaii with all your products that you're trying to perform your job with are
Oh my
coming
God,
from
it's
the
so hard.
mainland.
You guys, it's so
I don't
hard.
even want to know what you guys pay in shipping a year.
Yeah.
So here's I have a phenomenal PPG rep. Okay, I do. I can call him today if it were Thursday, and Friday morning the color 50-pound box would be dropped at the shop door with a dozen donuts. I mean,
dude, their midnight black is the best gloss black in the industry, in my opinion.
Is it?
Just started.
Oh my God, Kim, that shit is
What? Okay, I'm gonna go get my PPG catalog out.
But
just don't look at it wrong when you're spraying.
Again, there's things like that I just take for granted. Oh, I make the call and my rep will have it here tomorrow. You've got to wait, what, 2 weeks?
Oh, okay. So let me give you an example of what it's okay.
I stopped getting it. I stopped ordering PPG because it was taking them 2 fucking months to get me a 50-pound box.
Oh my gosh. So last week, a very large contractor called me with an urgent job, bidded it, no big deal. Okay, we're ready to go. We got to have it done. It's for a restaurant. It's probably some punch list item that they didn't do or, messed up on or something. So the powder supplier, I ordered it, special order kind of, because we didn't have this color in. So ordered it and out of California, and I don't know what happened with their systems, but whatever happened, it all went down and went to shit. So my rep said it would be there. So I ordered it Friday. My rep said it would be there Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. That's normal. Like I could handle that one, right? Because we're ready for the powder to show up and start the job. I call on Thursday because it didn't show up on Wednesday, and I'm like, so do you have a tracking on this? And oh my God, they didn't ship it. They forgot, or they got backlogged, or I don't know, whatever happened. So now
you ordered it too late.
I'm having to wait a whole nother week. It was bad. And I was charging the guy extra money for powder because we were kind of paying more for it, supposedly. Anyways, it was just a nightmare, but we got through it and it was okay. But I know my rep felt bad. And, now we've got this job on Kauai. A whole elevator can't be installed or put together because everything got damaged in shipping. So he gave me the color. Fortunately, it's with a regular coating supplier that I use, powder supplier. They're shipping it on a aircraft like our inter-island airfare. They're shipping it there. I haven't gotten the call yet. I'm surprised I haven't gotten it, but it should be coming from Kauai and should be arriving at some point today. They had to put it on 2 different planes because one plane couldn't take the top or the bottom of whatever because it's steel. It's so heavy, it's too much for their system. So most of the other parts were on one thing, and then we've got to turn around and get it. I said, your stuff's going to get here before the powder does.
Right.
So but yeah, that was a lot. And the guy's just like, here's my American Express card, fix it. We can't be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's one of those. So
You're like a brand new Atlas Copo air compressor. We need this to do. We need to do.
Charge just enough for that. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, you guys,
So-
I gotta get out of here. I got.
Yeah,
some-
it's been a great
some
show. No,
stuff.
this is perfect timing. It's awesome. And we talked about a lot of different things and shared a lot of different ideas. And I think that we could be onto something if we could make it work,
Especially if you,
just
you
with the
keep
school.
these like little open round tables going like every Friday or
Yeah.
whatever, kind of like what I said in the past. Like if I got time, I'll hop in, and if I always got the invite, I'll hop in on them, and
Yeah.
we can just kind of keep the
Conversation going,
keep the conversation
sure.
going, and then it also just kind of keeps with us being in the industry and whatever we are labeled as, I think it's nice to hear the news or whatever we know broken from us kind of people, instead of hearing it through the grapevine or whatever the main source of information you're getting from. It's this kind of like now it's
Yeah.
instead of waiting around for a magazine to come out every month.
Right.
It's true. And I think we all have something to share that is far different from the main industry. The narrative that the industry is giving us, they can only give us their perspective, but we have something different to share and offer, and we owe it to our community to be able to share it amongst ourselves so that new coders can come.
Well, and to take that a little further, you got to remember that a true custom coder sees everything from an industrial piece of steel to a 3-piece wheel that needs to be two-toned, okay, to a glider that needs to be rebuilt and metal cut out and metal brazed back in, and then EPO strong and OGF primer, and so you see everything. So a true custom coat shop sees everything.
Yeah.
Most custom coders can walk into any industrial shop and boom, they're off and running, right? Show me what we got, no problem. Okay, it's an REL.
Like kind of my favorite thing to do is go into a big, industrial shop and walk circles around people. It was my favorite pastime.
But on that same token, we take industrial coders and go to tell them, okay, so you gotta build the mill thickness up on this glider because it's got the pitting is so bad, and they want this museum quality, and it needs to be sanded, and then you got to run your zinc on it or your whatever epoxy primer you're gonna whatever.
Yeah.
They're lost. So there really is 2 different worlds out there. There really is.
Yeah.
And
I do not miss those days of reading an invoice sheet, and we were doing stuff for this company called Revamp that was making all these fancy like cutout panels for like they go in and they remodel like high-end skyscraper buildings or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like walking into the booth those days and like reading the invoice sheet, and it's like calling for 3 mils of primer, and then it's calling for 3 mils of top coat, and that's like there can't be any window framing, there can't be any imperfections. Like those days when you were told you have to spray by spec, those are some of the most stressful, like under the gun moments, and like those are the days where you're second guessing yourself. And I would like to figure out what is the best way to train a coating applicator to understand like what 3 mils or what 2.5 mils looks like when you're when you're bouncing primer visually.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I wouldn't say it's necessarily visually. Obviously it's a lot of how the powder's talking to you. Like a lot of people will say, oh, more fuzz, but more fuzz just means back ionization in my opinion. So like there needs to be those barriers.
That's a great topic.
But
bounced off of, and like
You know,
like me and him could go back and forth, like how many passes are you getting? Like
yeah,
Right.
those aren't the things that are talked about. Those aren't the things
Right.
of like you need to be counting your fucking passes, especially if you're spraying multiple parts of the same part.
yes, yes,
And I don't care if you're not reaching our preferred mil spec within 0.5, because like when it comes to top coat, we can always go more. But I would say, you know, there's that window that, you know, there is that effort that could be distributed and like become more of like a mandatory thing.
and what you learn as you put the time in behind the gun and shooting powder is you get an eye,
Almost.
right? You get an eye. You get
Second
an eye,
nature.
and you
Yeah.
can look at it, and you know when you're light, you know when you're heavy, you know exactly how many. And it's, I don't know, when I was taught, and my mentor said, "You'll know," okay. And I'm like, "What do you mean? How will I know?"
You'll
He's like,
feel it.
"Trust me. You will know. You will see it. You will feel it. You will know." And you know what? 5 years later, I know what he
Yeah.
means. I know what that is. You know.
Yeah.
So
The main
it
thing is like if you can't see it, you need to spray a couple passes and don't shine your flashlight straight at the product, but hold it like along the product so you can see like
perpendicular.
the peaks and valleys of the powder. So then like, okay, do one pass, look at it. Do another pass, look at it. And then you're watching the powder talk to you beyond passes. Like, and a lot of people, I would say, like they want to go in and they want to spray Faraday areas first, or if it's a channeled piece and they're wanting to spray the Faraday area first, like, dude, just avoid, like, don't even think about it.
Right.
Don't even
Yeah.
think about it. Work the part and
Right.
then bounce into it. And you would be surprised you don't need to sit there and try to beat the living hell out of that corner.
This is the kind of stuff that we could present in a
Yep.
course or live stuff, you know, or even just talking here. But I mean, this is, you know, it's stuff that is very hard to teach.
Right.
You know, we
Oh,
can
and I
talk
could sit
about
here
it.
and we could say it time and time again, but I
Mhm.
think up until people, I mean, I've had, how many people have ever told you you need to drink water?
Right.
And then one person that influences you or you're kind of enamored with, and they tell you you need to drink water, you need to do this, and you'll find yourself actually doing it at that point.
Right. Yeah. It's
It's kind of funny, you know, but I think it's also like there needs to be somebody talking about what we're talking about and also displaying that with a
yes.
good cameraman behind it
Yeah.
to really show what we're trying to get at. Because then all these people that are having problems, all it takes is one video and one person to relay it in layman's terms, and they're boom, light bulb goes off, and they're like, "Oh, I know what they're talking about now."
Right. That's kind of what we were thinking about if we do kind of make a move, is to, you know, and we're not saying leave Maui Powder Works. We're not going to do that, but you know, like expand to the mainland to kind of get some of our products launched a little better.
Maui Powder University.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, you guys.
Okay.
I want you guys to have a beautiful weekend.
All right,
That
Kim.
was good talking to you guys. Have a good
Good
weekend.
talking to you, Ashton.
You
Talk to you.
too.
See ya.
Hey, hit me up on Instagram so I know what to follow back.
Right on. Rags to riches, baby. Rags to riches.
Oh yeah. Okay, sounds good.
Later.
Awesome. See you
Later.
later. Bye.